TikTok, it's time to rock. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome to the channel. Um, just bear with me. I've just got to just make a couple of changes here in the studio. Hold the line. That's the first time on the channel when we have had to make a couple of changes in the intro. Sorry about that. Hope everybody is fine. I don't know who's joining me here live. Nobody is watching us live, but that's okay. The video will be up on the channel for you to watch on a replay. Couple of things, folks, that I'd like to talk to you about. We're lucky and fortunate enough to have Philip Sace on the channel last Sunday, New Zealand time. And I'm just checking to see what the views are on that. So it's just under 4K views. So thank you, Philip, for hanging out with us and joining us on the channel. Learnt a lot of things. If you're not familiar with Philip and his background and his music legacy, go and check that out. We were fortunate enough to have him join us. We've got a comment here. Gritch Zeppelin, g'day. He's here for me. Thanks, brother. Thank you always for hanging out with us. I'll tell you the truth, bro. This show, the topic of this show was planned last Saturday. It's exactly 7 days. And if you're familiar with any of the notifications, you'll notice that I put this show back every day this week until Saturday this evening to talk to you folks about the topic that we're going to talk about. So just give me a second while I get some notes up on that, because I tried to upload a lot of the pics and the information on Google Drive. And the good thing about Google Drive is that you can focus on the pic and you can magnify it. But for some reason it wasn't working. And I didn't have the time or the patience, to be honest, to go through and try and figure that out. So I've just put the pics and the information for us to discuss as an overlay. And that's okay. That's going to work fine. What's some channel news that I'd like to talk to you guys about? Tomorrow we've got Hugh Caldwell joining us on the channel. He's going to be the guest host. And I only found out a couple of hours ago we won't be having Brad joining us, folks, because he's got some personal things that he's got to take care of this weekend. So we won't have Brad with us, but we will have the Rock Professor, who had last week off. G'day, Phil. Good to see you, bro. Myself, and as I said to your phone, folks, hold on, I'm just turning my volume up so I can hear myself. Thank you. Yeah, that's better. Hugh Caldwell, who's been a very, very, very good friend of the channel. He's been on the channel, ranked a couple of albums with us. And obviously, if you guys want to join us on the channel as guest hosts, if you've got an album that you want to rank with us, flick me a message, flick Brad a message, flick the Rock Professor a message. You guys know the format. You know the time slot that we go live. So jump on. There's always an invitation, especially for the fine people that join us regularly. You have an open invitation. I think that's all the channel news. Look forward to having the Rock Professor back tomorrow. Okay, the topic of tonight's show. again, folks, if you're familiar with our channel, you'll notice that over the years we've discussed articles relevant to the music that we follow that feature a guitar player and or what was the other magazine? Guitar player or Total Guitar, especially. Now, there's a lot of guitar magazines out there, music magazines out there that have really, really good articles, but I'm going to tell you consistently from my point of view, Guitar Player and Total Guitar have very, very good articles. And while we're talking about guitar articles, I have to invite you to go and check out the latest Guitar World magazine that has Eddie on the cover. And they're talking about albums, discussing albums from 1984. And we've discussed, gosh, at least half a dozen shows on the channel discussing Van Halen's 1984 album. And a very good friend of ours on the channel, Chris Gill, I have to do a plug for him. Chris Gill has a wonderful article about that and mentions our very, very good friend, Alan Garber, in his article. So I invite you to go and check that out. But this show isn't about Van Halen and 1984. It's about the greatest blues guitarists of all time. Now, obviously, when you get a highlight like that, you want to check it out. Where are these guys coming from? My view on lists. I think lists are fine. Lists are fantastic. Lists are great because they allow you to have a conversation. They allow you to either agree with the list or disagree with the list. It gives you an opportunity to go back and compile your own list. And that's what we do here on this channel. We love talking about music. So if a list can inspire a conversation to talk about some music, it's got to be a win-win. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the latest Total Guitar magazine, go and check it out. I'll have the cover. I think the cover for that magazine is the show card, so you can't miss it. Available on digital format too. You download the app, the Total Guitar app, and you can subscribe to various issues. You don't have to buy the whole subscription. You can just subscribe to the latest one, or one from 2 years ago, which is what I like to do. And then you can print those off if you don't get the magazine hard copies, which are becoming increasingly hard to find, I must admit. So let's go quickly. Let's go quickly. I just from 100 to 11. Let's just go quickly, okay? And there's some names here that I'm not familiar with at all. And obviously, there's some names here that are legendary. Okay, number 100, Anthony Gomez. Nate Myers is 99. King Solomon Hicks. Ezra Linteen. Lowell Folsom. Cedric Burnside. Tyler Bryant, which is interesting because he's a young, hot guitar player. Quinn Sullivan, Brian Jones, Buddy Whittington, and 90 is Rebecca Lovell. So just hold on, because I think I have that that pick. Hold on, folks. Where are we? You might just want to. There it is there. And if I go here, there you can see me down in the corner there. Okay. And like I said to you at the start, I'm sorry I can't magnify that for you to look at, but we're going to go through quickly. So we're up to number 90. We've said number 90. Shuggy Otis, Greg Koch, Booker White, Justin Johnson. We're familiar with him. He is an internet sensation, a YouTube sensation, 1.9 million followers. He's the guy that wears the Western hat and plays slide guitar. Genius. Continuing on. Davey Knowles, Blind Blake, Kirk Fletcher. He's a genius. Memphis Minnie, Skip James, Ansley Lister, Matt Schofield, Dan Albrecht, Jared James Nichols, Charlie Patton, Ali Venable, Josh Smith, Terry Cath, Earl Hooker, Big Bill Brunsey, Alvin Bishop, Lonnie Mack, Jimmy Reed, and number 67 is our friend Philip Sace, who, again, folks, I said at the beginning of the show, we were honoured and humbled to have as a guest on the channel. Continuing on, 66, Jack Witt, 65, Paul Kossoff, Mississippi, Fred McDowell, R.L. Burnside, Marcus King, another hot, young, new guitarist that's been around for a little while, but still burning it. 61, Mississippi, John Hurt, Blind Lemon Jefferson, Joni Shaw Taylor, Mick Taylor is 58, Lead Belly 57, Sonny Landreth. Then we're continuing on, Eric Streckle, Otis Rush, Keb Mo, Sun House, Taj Mahal, Robin Ford, George Thorogood, Tab Benet, Jimmy Vaughan, Sister Rosetta Tharp, Mike Bloomfield. Keith Richards is 44. Keith Richards is 44. Eric Johansson, Alvin Lee, Elmore James, Lightning Hopkins, Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, Samantha Fish, Howling Wolf, T-Bone Walker, Robin Trower, John Mayer, Hubert Summoning, Roy Buchanan, Robert Cray, who's going to be the subject of the show tomorrow, Warren Haynes, Jeff Healy, Eric Gales, Chris Buck. Wow. From the UK. Gary Clark Jr., Albert Collins, Walter Trout, Dan Patlansky from South Africa, hot single coil guitar player. Go and check him out. John Lee Hooker, Jackie Venson, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Peter Green is 19. Wow. And then the list continues. Freddie King, Derek Truck, 17. Billy Gibbon, 16. Jimmy Page, 15. Johnny Winter, 14. At number 13, Dwayne Allman. Number 12, Rory Gallagher. And number 11, Jeff Beck. Now, these were voted, folks. Hold on, I'll just get rid of that so I come back and see you. Where am I? Where are we? There we are. Now, these were voted by the readers of Total Guitar. Before we get to the top 10, the meat and the sandwich, the cause of controversy, the topic of controversy, I'm sure. Even there's bits of controversy in that 100 to 11 list, I'm sure. But we didn't vote for him, but you did. Highlights from the other section of the poll. So there's 3 highlights here that they've. Bonnie Raitt, number 1, Brian Caber, and Taj Farrant got honourable mentions. So before we get into the top 10, let's have a look and see who's been commenting. Aha, we have Nelson Rodriguez. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for supporting our channel, brother. Thank you for everything that you've done for our channel. It's always appreciated. Arvin, good to see you, bro. Thank you for hanging out with us and joining the conversation. Really, really appreciate it. Like I said to you guys before, you know, we love lists. You can either agree with them or disagree with them and go and make your own list and then come back and, you know, do shows like we do here and talk about whether you agree or not. Now, if you caught what I just said, were there any surprises in that list from 11 to 100 that should be in your top 10? Well, clearly for me, there's 2 in my top 10 in that list that I just read out. Peter Green and Keith Richards will always be in my top 10 blues guitarists. You guys want to know who number 10 and number 9 is? If you haven't got the article, well, let's go and put it up. There I am. Okay. Number 10 on Total Guitar all-time greatest blues guitarists is Muddy Waters and Robert Johnson. I've got to do a special shout out to, you know, Total Guitar, and it's feeding on to what I said at the intro. The information here in the article, and I wish I could highlight it for you, is pretty good. You know, there's enough information here to keep you going. There's information about the guitars that they've used, a little bit of a biography where they came from, a discussion on some of their iconic albums. For example, the Essentials, and this is something I'll read out for you if that's okay. Muddy Waters Essentials: technique, call and response, phrasing, structures, utilizing slide and fretted note melodies, and a forceful right hand. The scales that Muddy used: minor pentatonic and the minor blues scale, and the gear: 57 Fender Telecaster and a 65 Super Reverb. The album that they recommend you go and check out is Real Folk Blues. Any album on Muddy Waters, any of his collected or greatest hits or essentials, is worth listening to. There's, last time I looked on Spotify, there's at least a dozen. So go and add them all to your playlist. And the track that they've got listed as an essential is Manish Boy. I don't have a problem with Muddy being in the top 10 of the greatest blues guitarists. What he did, he is responsible for the Chicago blues sound. He and his band, you know, of plugging in those early archtop acoustics with single coil pickups and playing through amps and getting that overdrive sound. Began with this guy, and his bands. What are you guys saying? You guys are just saying hi. Always get Buddy Guy and Buddy Rich mixed up. Yeah. I can see how that might happen. Number 9, Robert Johnson, the king of the Delta blues. Robert's essential figures, according to the article, the Johnson progression had bass in quarters and shuffle eights, up the neck chords, melodic fills, and classic turnarounds. His scales focus on open tunings like open G. Yep, that's correct, and open D as well. The gear that he used, Gibson L1 flat top, small body acoustic, preferably between 26 and 1937. The album, King of the Delta Blues Singers, is the essential album. That's the album that got a lot of these English cats going. We know that, don't we? Clapton talks about that album a lot. And the track is Crossroads Blues. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Robert Johnson in the top 10. Any issues with that, guys? No, I don't have a problem with that. 8 and 7. Number 8, Albert King, one of the three kings. His trademark overbending technique, he made his guitar scream and holler. The Velvet Bulldozer. That's his nickname, or one of his nicknames. According to the article, Albert King's essentials: technique, raw, powerful attack with plenty of huge bends, usually a tone and a half or 2 tones wide. Scales, minor pentatonic, particularly the Albert King box. The gear, Gibson Flying V, Roland JC 120, and the MXR Phase 90. I've just thought of something that's just come to my mind, folks. Do you remember that video DVD that's out of him and Stevie Ray Vaughan playing together? They do a half a dozen shows, half a dozen numbers, and it's recorded. It's fantastic. If you haven't checked that out, go and check it out. It's amazing. They have a great conversation, and they're playing. Stevie's in awe of Albert, and you can hear that phaser. Boy, you can hear that phaser when Albert's playing. Wow. Go and check that out. The album that they're saying is Born Under a Bad Sign, and the track that you have to check out is Born Under a Bad Sign. And again, there's a famous photo, isn't there, of Eric Clapton. He's in Cream at the time. I think they're recording Disraeli Gears, and Clapton's got his perm going on, and he's got the album cover, Born in a Bad Sign, and he's taking the record out, and they're playing it on a record player while they're recording that album. So these great guitar players that we listen to, obviously influenced by these other great guitar players that we listen to. How far back was John Lee Hooker and Freddie King? And I'll come back to that, Nelson. I'll come back to that, bro, if you don't mind. Number 7 is Buddy Guy. And the way he welded a Strat inspired Jimmy, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and countless others. Ali Rogers is the author on the information here about Buddy. Let's see what they're saying here. His technique: aggressive pick attack. Heavy use of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Yep. And powerful expressive bends. That's Buddy Guy. Everybody likes a bit of Buddy. The scales: minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, and the gear: Fender Stratocaster, Fender Bassman, or Fender Deluxe tube amp, and a Crybaby wah wah. He used Guilds there for a while. He had a sponsorship deal or an endorsement with Guild. Playing it looked like a ES335. You'll be familiar with that guitar. And the album that they're saying that you must check out is Damn Right, I've Got the Blues. And the track is Damn Right, I've Got the Blues. No argument there. Crappy Luxury, hey brother, good to see you. We're just talking about the guitar techniques, greatest blues guitarists. I know Crappy is a Peter Green fan. Peter Green didn't make the top 10, nor did Keith Richards. There are two guitar players from the 100 to 11 list that would be in my top 10 that aren't. But we don't have a problem with lists. Gonna keep saying that. Lists are great because we can have conversations about them. Right, boys and girls. We're gonna check out 6, 5, and 7. So number 6 is Gary Moore. With rock power, he reinvigorated the blues. That's the byline here. The article goes on and describes Gary's essentials as a mixture of speed and raw emotion. Yep, they got that right. Crucially, any technique used must serve the meaning of the song. Yep. The scales he uses, mainly minor pentatonic, and the gear, Gibson Les Paul, Marshall JTM 45 or similar, Ibanez Tube Screamer, and a Marshall Governor, no overdrive. There's an argument there for you to say that he Stratocaster as well as a guitar. The Blues for Jimmy is a fantastic DVD and CD album worth checking out. They go on to say the essential album and track Still Got the Blues. I'm not going to argue with that. I think Still Got the Blues is a modern masterpiece. Surprised to see Gary, as much as I'm a Gary Moore fan, surprised to see Gary in the top 10. Yeah. What do you think? Number 5. Now, this was a real shock for me. Number 5. They got Jimi Hendrix at number 5 in Total Guitar's all-time greatest blues guitarists. Look, no argument. He had to make the top 10. Number 5? Let me know what you think about that. Andrew Daly is the author on the little bit of information here for us to talk about. Andrew says the Hendrix essentials are the technique, combine feedback with your expressive string bends, and tune your guitar down one semitone while blending rhythms and leads. Correct. Playing lead and rhythm at the same time. Scales. Here we go. This is fantastic. The E9, the E7th 9 Hendrix chord includes E, G sharp, D, and G, a vital part of the Hendrix scale, built from major third, G sharp. Okay, that's not a main that's not a major or minor scale. So I don't look. We all know what the Hendrix chord is. If you don't know what the Hendrix chord is, go and check it out. Plenty of videos to show you. Gear, Fender Strat, Jim Dunlop, fuzz face, Jim Dunlop wire, Marshall Super Lead, also known as a Plexi. Yep. And then they say the album to check out is Electric Ladyland. I might disagree with that. It might be Axis for me. And the track to check out is Voodoo Child, Slight Return. Is Hendrix number 5? There's an argument that he could be higher. And number 4, very dear to my heart, is Eric Clapton. From his fingertips came some of the most dynamic British blues ever heard. Undoubtedly true. Andrew Daly is the author here, and he gives you a bit of information. Pretty good. The information here. Let's see what they say about the Eric Clapton essentials. Technique, combine raw power, volume, and fearless muscle with intentional vibrato and always remain in control. Scales, keep it simple. Yeah, okay. Clapton loves E minor pentatonic, but often adds single notes from the A major pentatonic for variation. Uses hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, and slides. Gear, Les Paul Burst, the Strat, Marshall Blues Breaker, JTM 45, or Fender Twin. Album, Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton, Stepping Out. Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton as a defining blues album? Yes. Stepping Out as the track? Oh, yeah. Yeah. You could pick one of 5 from that album and you'll be okay. What do you guys think? Are you ready for number 3? Yeah. Let's have a look, see if we've got any new comments. Good topic. Yeah. Thanks, Crappy. As I said in the intro, Guitar Player Magazine and Guitar Techniques, out of all the guitar magazines, in my opinion, offer really, really good articles. They have good in-depth articles. Their writers write really, really well. They've got some good stuff going on. And we've done a few shows featuring articles that they've presented to us over the years, and we'll continue doing. Yeah. Brad's not on. Should be, though. No argument. Good on you, Nelson. Are you guys ready for number 3? Number 3 is Joe Bonamassa. That was a big surprise for me. So they've got a good article here. Joe Bonamassa. Now more than ever, he's all about putting the right notes in the right place. You know, Joe Bonamassa, I remember getting the album Blues Deluxe. When did that album come out? years ago, and he's come out with Blues Deluxe #2, and it releases 2 albums a year. The guy's really, really prolific. So before we talk more about Joe, let's talk about what they say here as the essentials. Technique: plays fearless, fast, fiery, executing nasty string bends, and exudes rage through repetition. Love that, poetic. Scales: mainly the minor pentatonic with some major pentatonics and Dorian and Mixolydian modes added in. And the gear: 55 hardtail Strat, 59 Les Paul Burst, 62 ES335, 100 watt Marshall, an Ibanez Tube Screamer, TS9, and a TS808. And the album that they've got for you to check out, surprise, surprise, is one that I mentioned, Blues Deluxe, and the track Blues Deluxe. Yeah, go and check that album out. It's a masterpiece. Really, really surprised to see Joe Bonamassa at #3. Really, really surprised, folks, in my opinion, to see him in the top 10. Yeah, undoubtedly, one of the most prolific blues guitar players out there, keeping the blues alive. Deserves to be, ranked somewhere. But I'd trade Joe for Peter Green. Not top 10. Well, yeah, you're right, Crappy. That's not your top 10. And that's the whole idea of this show. It's about taking someone else's list, us doing a show, and talking about our own list. Like I said to you guys before, sorry for repeating myself, but the whole idea, with a list is that it can create a conversation. And Total Guitars definitely, in my opinion, created a conversation. We've got the Rock Professor here. Good to see you, Rock Professor. He'll be on the show with us tomorrow with Hugh. And see, even the Rock Professor's saying, yeah, Joe Bonus surely not rated higher than him. Well, yeah. You're right, Simon. That's... I'm not going to argue with you. The two people, Simon, I read the people from the guitar players from 100 to number 11, and there's 2 guitar players in that would be in my top 10. One, Keith Richards, and the other one, Peter Green. So, yeah, very interesting. Joe Bonamassa. Look, big fan of Joe. Don't get me wrong. But #3? Yeah. Right. #2. You guys want to check out #2? I was really surprised to see this guy at #2. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I was really surprised to see Stevie at #2. Johnny Winter's on the list. He's not on the top 10, Crappy. Now, if you guys want to hang around till the end, I'll go through and read that list out again. I'll bore the heck out of you. I'll go through quickly. But he's definitely on the top 100. But anyway, getting back to Stevie Ray Vaughan. Big fan of Stevie Ray Vaughan, as you know, folks. Hugely influential guitar player. One of the major influences in and around and on the single coil tone that we love to talk about. Huge influence on a lot of us and on the channel. Stevie Ray Vaughan, the byline goes on to say, in the early 80s, the blues needed saving, enters Stevie Ray Vaughan. Absolutely. I'm young enough to remember that. I remember when he came onto the scene with Love Struck? The one with the fat girl in it. You guys will tell me. You know the one. And been blown away because it was so different to everything else that we were listening to at the time. And then, you know, like a lot of us, we became addicted to his music. I'll continue the conversation here. That Andrew Daly from Guitar Techniques, Total Guitar, writes, his technique, be aggressive, deploy question and answer licks, double stop phrases, monster bends by flexing one string and letting down the adjacent string twice in succession. The scales that Stevie Ray are associated with is the E minor pentatonic scale, down a semitone, of course, due to his E flat tuning. Just like his huge influence, Jimi Hendrix. The gear that Stevie used, 62 or 63 Strat, 150 watt Dumble string, steel string singer, a blackface super reverb, an Ibanez tube screamer that he's famous for. The album that you have to check out, according to Andrew, is Texas Flood, and the track Pride and Joy. No arguments there. Love Struck, baby. That's it, Phil. You nailed it. Thank you. That's the video. I remember, like a lot of us, we were young and just hearing that single coil Strat tone, what, in 82, 83, around that time, was just so different. Really surprised to see Stevie so high on the list. I would never have. I'd never have had a bet with you if you told me that he was going to be number 2 on the all-time greatest guitar players in my top 10. Yes, you're right, Simon. I'll go through and I will read 11 to 100 again for you. So there was a couple of surprises on that top 10 for me. All right, drum roll. I got to get a drum roll. I must do that. Get a drum roll sound effect to go with some clapping that we have. Number 1 is B.B. King. Is the greatest blues guitarist according to Total Guitar. King of the Blues is the byline here. The quote that they've got is, when I play the thrill with my finger, my hand is not on the neck at all. It all comes from the wrist. B.B. King. Neville Martin is the author of this segment. And what does Neville say? Hold on, I'll have to dig that out, folks. While I dig that out, comment for me about B.B. King being number 1. It was a big surprise for me. Now they've got they've got about 4 pages devoted to BB. So BB's essentials, the article talks about sung lines alternated with measured guitar phrases, occasionally big string bends and a fluttering vibrato. The scales that he uses, he mixes the major and the minor pentatonics, jazz-style flurries, and chord tones around the BB box shape. The gear, ES355 Lucille model with a Robert Moog designed Gibson Lab series combos, or Fenders if unavailable. The album that you have to check out clearly is Live at the Regal, and the track is The Thriller's Gone. Simon saying fair enough. Crappy Luxuries list is BB, EC, Albert, Peter, Johnny, Rory, Robert Johnson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Billy Gibbons, and Freddie. Guys, that's exactly what I want you to do. Tell us what your top 10 is. You don't have to give us your top 100. Your top 10. And no one's going to hold you to it, because we know we've made lists before, and the list you make this week is going to be completely different to the list you make next week. And that's perfectly acceptable. And then go and check out the magazine. We might do part 2, because they talk about some essential recordings here on this issue. And there's also some great, hold on folks, there's also some great conversation on, if you give me a second, can I get that up? Some great conversation on 10 legendary blues guitars. Number 1, Robert Johnson with his Gibson L1. Number 2, Muddy Waters with his 58 Fender Telecaster. Stevie Ray with his 63 Fender Strat. Number 4 is BB King with his ES355. Number 5 is Clapton with the 59 Beano Burst, which is wrong. It's a 60. It was a 60 because it had the slim neck. So bit of a mistake there from the magazine. Number 6 is Billy Gibbons with his 59 Pearly Gates. And number 7 is Greeny's 59 Gibson. Number 8, Johnny Winter with his 64 Firebird. Oh boy, what a cool guitar. Love Firebirds. Albert King, number 9, with his Flying V. And Albert Collins with his 66 Custom Telecaster. Where's Andrew? There he is. Lightning Hopkins, Dark Horse pick. Wow, like I say, guys, it was an interesting. It was an interesting article. I'm not going to read from 100 to 11, but I'll read from 20 to 11. Kenny Wayne Shepherd's number 20, and then Peter Green 19, Freddie King, 18. Derek Trucks, 17. Billy Gibbons, 16. Jimmy Page, 15. Johnny Winter, 14. Dwayne Orman, 13. Rory Gallagher, 12. And Jeff Beck, 11. If you're watching on a replay and you've got the time, if you want to be bothered, put down your top 10. If that's too much, put down your top 3 blues guitarists. Love to have a conversation with you about it. Like I said a couple of times during the show, lists are great because it involves a conversation. We try to do that here on this channel. We love talking about music, and we'll be back tomorrow night on the channel, or tomorrow morning if you're in the UK, or in the if you're in the States, it'll be in the afternoon with Hugh Caldwell, very good friend of the channel, Rankine, Robert Craze, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Rock Professor and I will be doing that with you. Brad won't be joining us, folks, because he's got some business that he has to take care of. But we do look forward to catching up with the Rock Professor. If you haven't checked out, please, our video with Philip Sace, I urge you to. It's well worth checking out. Some of the information and the time that Philip gave us was fantastic. Bonamassa, the main wrong name among. Well, yeah. Again, Crappy. I wouldn't have Joe in my top 10. No, he wouldn't be in my top 10. And I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have B.B. King. He might be around 11 or 12 for me, but really surprised to see that he was number 1. And as the Rock Professor pointed out, Hendrix behind Joe Bonamassa, that was a surprise. And Gary Moore being in the top 10, that was a surprise too. Robert Johnson has to be in there when you consider how influential he was. And Muddy Waters, I don't have an argument with not including him, because again, he was responsible for giving us that Chicago sound. Well, certainly the bands that he formed, that he was the leader of. Simon St. Hendrix would be his number 1. I don't have an argument with that. That blues album, I've been listening to that blues album for the past week after having Philip Sace on. That we've ranked on the channel here, the Rock Professor and I and Brad. It's a wonderful collection of Jimi Hendrix numbers. Go and check it out. It's just fantastic. Hugh, good to see you, brother. I'm just doing a bit of a shout out to you on behalf of the channel that you're going to be joining us tomorrow. I'll let you know, brother, it's only going to be the Rock Professor and I. Brad has some urgent business that he has to take care of. So it'll be 3 of us on the channel tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. Hugh's been on the channel a couple of times. If you guys want to join the Rock Professor and I and Brad at any stage to come on, if you want to pick an album that we haven't done, there's a lot. There's a lot there. And be a guest, let me know. You know the time that we come on if you're a regular, and you know the day because you're joining us in the chat. And if you want to participate in that, you just have to get a device. I'll send you the link and you can jump on. Crappy Luxury has been on the channel. He's ranked an album with us. So we do look forward to having more of you guys and girls joining us. Thank you for being patient. Like I said to you, I had this planned last Saturday to talk to you about this. I urge you to go and check out Total Guitar Magazine and Guitar Player magazines. They have special features on certain albums. The one that Guitar Player did on Dwayne Allman. They did one on the Layla album. They did a special feature on the Rolling Stones 69 tour. Wow, it's just fantastic. Great journalism. Good to see that there are some music journalists out there which are, continuing this legacy of, great music journalism. That it's there for you to check out. Certainly available on digital form if you don't get the printed copies. And I would ask you also to go and check out the latest Guitar World magazine, the 1984 issue. It's got Eddie on the cover with a flying V. As you guys are aware, we've done a few shows on the channel featuring Van Halen's 1984. Good friend of our channel, Chris Gill, has got an article, and he mentions our friend Alan Garber in the article as well, so it's worth checking out. We've got some great shows planned coming up. We've got Bob and Jeff, who are responsible for the Fleetwood Mac book, coming on to join us in a couple of weeks. We just have to figure out a time. We've got a Van Halen show coming up soon. We're going to have Tanner on talking about Alex Van Halen. He's going to be a hot topic over the next couple of months in the Van Halen community because, if you're not aware, Alex Van Halen is coming out with a book. Hey, Paulie, good to see you, bro. Paulie Walnuts is going to be joining us too on a Van Halen show coming up. We're going to be talking about the remastered Sammy era albums, and Paulie is a great Van Halen fan. Well worth checking Paulie out. So we've got a couple of shows planned on that coming up. What else are we doing on the channel? Other than that, we've got the weekly rankings. Thank you for subscribing. I ask you please to go and check our friends on our channels page. Go and subscribe to all our friends there. Let them know that we sent you. That would be great if you could do that. Please share our link. We always appreciate that. I think that's about it. Check out where are they? If you've got Instagram, go and check out Brad Cook Music. And the Rock Professor, Simon Williams 33 on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram account, go and check it out because that's a cool place. There's some cool stuff going on. And you'll be surprised how many people that you bump into on YouTube channels and shows in the comments that have a presence on Instagram too. Yeah. Winding down, Greg. Andre Poole. What? Yeah, no, we're winding down, brother. Thank you. I've been on air for an hour. I'll make you famous. Greg, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. I'll flick you my email if you want to get hold of me. Catch me here on blind as a bat. Flick me an email there. kiwiclapton@gmail.com and we'll hook you up. Greg, if you want to come on and join us for a show, you're more than welcome. Ryan Hall, good to see you, brother. Go and check out Ryan. Ryan has a great channel. He posts regularly himself playing acoustic guitar music. Good friend of the channel. Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Flick me an email and would love to have you on. Thank you, Crappy, for joining us. Thank you, Rock Professor. We're going to cruise. You guys know who you are. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure. I'm going to play this cool little video before we go. Where is it? Somewhere.
Hey, this is Philip Sace, and you are watching the 5150 Show with Brad and Andrew. All right.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get him to say Rock Professor because he had to bugger off. Would have been good, but you guys get it. Thank you, Philip, for joining us. Check out his haircut. Looking sharp. See you guys. Thank you for joining us. Give me your top 10. Top 10 list. Or top 3 if you're too lazy to give us a top 10. Where's the video? Bye-bye.